Story was always there. Always that opening with the husband being and the wife being tied to the chair, him getting beaten and she doesn't get touched. I loved that opening. The opening shot with the serial killer walking across the parking lot into the dark woods, into the neighborhood, was always the image. And it was the image that I got. It was awesome.
Why?
Who is it?
Why was it? My father was murdered. You weren't even touched. Not a scratch on you. Maybe you killed him. You were the one here when the neighbor found you. You killed my father, didn't you? You did it. Why?
Calm down.
We've been waiting to hear from you on your father's death for the last month.
Why is everybody telling me to calm down?
Look, you have no idea what I've been through. You cannot understand it.
Mom!
We have to get our hands on that guy. John's looking for it. We have to find him. Can't just sit by and wait for something to happen. Shut up! Just get fucking diary!
There's a murder out there and you're telling me to calm down?
Why was the movie called Heathen? Well, years ago, back before I even wrote Heathen, I looked at a David Bowie album at the time. It was called Heathen. I know I've heard the word before, but I'm like, what the heck does heathen mean? And when I read the definition of something unholy, something monstrous, I was like, that's going to be the title of my next movie.
I was going to Untitled Community College in Enfield, Connecticut. I graduated in 2005 with a film production in theater. I really got into theater a lot, so it kind of distracted me into getting into film, which was okay. I met so many fascinating people, networked with so many people. I was working at Costco. While I was working at Costco, there was a young lady I was working with who was dating RJ Louvier of Goofy Tall Films, and she introduced us to, and we both love movies a lot. And he had just finished releasing a movie, Bankrupt, and then he was in the middle of making another one called Holy Hell, and he invited me to be part of that production. He said, you'd have to write yourself into the story, it's a dark comedy. So I said, join the cast, and I said, well, if I'm going to be part of it, you have to put CJM Films into your credits. And he did that for me, and that was part of the beginning of the partnership. After we filmed Holy Hell, I said I'm shelving a horror movie project that I've been working on for a couple years, and I keep shelving it, and I'm ready to get back into it, and it's a horror movie, and they loved horror movies. RJ was partnered up with Nick Alimo, and he was going to be part of it too. Horror movie, I'm calling it Heathen, and they were like, let's do it.
When you're bored in jury duty and you're waiting in that conference room waiting for them to say your name, you just have a pad and pencil. I mean, this was 2008, 2009. There were no smartphones pretty much back then. So you would just spend your time reading or writing. And I spent my time writing the first couple of scenes of Heathen. The scene where the husband gets tied to a chair and beaten to death was...
Action! So how do I continue the story? Well, I came up with this Maggie character. She has a stepson that won't accept her, and her husband was the victim. And it was interesting to have the man, like the hero, be the victim. Not too many horror movies have man being the main kill in the beginning, but this was something I learned in a long time, is that men can be just as vulnerable. The biggest theme of the movie is everybody has their dark secrets. And that's the kind of the Edgar Allan Poe beginning post I had was, the evil that's within. And it was just it just came together with the theme in the title. And I just went with it. We all went with it. And we all surprised each other.
I started writing Heathen end of summer of 2010. We begun filming in late September 2010.
Well, sweetie, I'm off. I have to go home, take a short nap, and get ready for the movers to come.
Knew Minerva from working with her at Costco. We had some connections. We loved music, rock and roll music of the 70s and 80s, and we loved David Bowie. And horror movies. And when I ever told her that I was in that summer of 2010, when I said I was running the horror movie, she wanted to be part of it from day one.
After I released the movie online on YouTube for the first time, I saw Minerva. I gave her a big hug. I said the movie's being very successful online, and I said thank you again for playing Maggie. And she gave me the hug back, and she goes, "Did you write that character for me?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "That character is so much like me. Did you write it that way?" I said, "It was both. It was you and me. We just invented that great character, Maggie, this person who had this dark secret in her, was the heroine, but she took it to another step." Still so proud of how it came out.
Minerva was my diamond. She really made this movie possible. And to this day, I get so many compliments on her character and her acting ability. It was her first feature film, and I was so proud of her. We were all proud of her. I didn't think she knew what she could do until she saw herself. When Minerva was not on film, she was an amazing artist, always. She was a great photographer. She took production photos while we were filming. She loved being behind the camera, assisting her and her son, Brendan. She designed the movie poster for the movie Heathen. Did a great job. And when she wasn't doing that, she was having a fun time. Always cracking jokes. Always laughing and crying and laughing. She did not want this production to end at all. She loved being part of it. Oh, how could I forget? She designed every single one of the scarves worn in the movie. And the scarf that was actually hanging on the cemetery plot was a very special one. Was her father's scarf.
It's got to be John, Maggie.
No!
Casting him as the shy, overprotecting brother, he played that part just the way I wanted it to, because in reality, he never knew Minerva. So him being nervous and his shyness added to the uncomfortable nature of can he protect his sister. And that was great. That made the setting just more uncomfortable.
Then where the hell is he?
It's not John!
Me and Nick became very good friends after Heathen. We really understood each other. When the movie premiered in 2010, the rough cut, I quoted a scene from Ferris Bueller. Switched the words up a little bit. "This actor is so uptight, if you put a coal up his ass, you pull it out, you get a diamond." And that was RJ.
I do have one question. Why was it my father was murdered and you weren't even touched? Not a scratch on you. Maybe you killed him. You were the one here when the neighbor found you. You killed my father, didn't you? You did it. Why?
I'm not going to keep on picking on RJ, no. He was very professional. He knew all of his lines. He was the producer, so he was a great sense of humor. But when it came to getting things done, he wanted things done. And I appreciate that about him. To this day, I appreciate him even more about that. Back then, I was like, oh, will you shut up and let me do my job? Let me make this movie. Because he didn't understand what direction I was going in. And that's what happens in production sometimes. But we still remain friends. I wrote this character of John, inspiration from RJ, reminding me of so much of RJ. He made Paul, and he was really good at it. I put Jess in charge of finding additional crew, Jess Johnson, and RJ helped me get last-minute crew himself.
I was trying to be civil.
I don't know why you tried.
He did not want to be in the movie, but since he was married to Minerva, Minerva begged him to be in the movie, and he decided to do it. I originally wrote the Miller character as this super nice guy.
And I got the opposite. He played the grumpy, stressed ex-husband, trying to protect his new wife. And when he read the script, he actually said to me, "Holy crap, did you write this about me?" And that was all coincidence. I knew Peter through Minerva, and he was always such a funny guy, very strict military guy, but I knew him more through this movie.
Thank you, Peter. And to this day, he's never seen the movie. Somehow we got to get him to watch the movie, because he did a good job.
Just calm the fuck down. Stay here or I'll lock you up. Got it?
I was originally cast to play Ridley, but I really wanted to focus on directing and taking the smaller part as Walt Jensen. I've actually known Jess for quite some years. I used to be her son's school bus monitor. That's not how we got into this project. She was dating Nick, a lineman at the time. And years later, here we are still friends, and we're friends, and I'm like Uncle Chris to that family. Jess, thank you for playing Detective Ridley. I know you kind of didn't want to play it,
I asked her to play her as Judge Million. I wanted her to be a tough, New York-style kind of cop. I loved it. She was awesome. She had a hard time learning her lines as well.
Not now. Listen to me. Shut up. Just get the fucking diary. Tonight.
Pleasure. Met her briefly in the past. She knew my mother. So glad RJ was able to get her, and that she was willing to do anything we asked. She was so into the project. She had so much spunk. She knew her lines. I gave her some extra lines. She worked with them. She worked wonderful with the lines I gave her. She was a very great improver. I loved that about her and her spunkiness. And her murder scene was so much fun. The choking that was going on, Nick, who was a stunt double playing the Shape, the killer, was just slightly, and she was acting along with it, but she's like, I can't act along with it unless you pull a little harder. So in the bloopers, you can hear her say, pull harder, you wuss. And we were cracking up so much. She was so much fun. When you're CJM Films, you're one of your producers, you're one of the executive producers of your own company, you always rely on one of the CJM Films brothers. Well, I couldn't get Matt Netman to be part of this project. He was committed on something else, and I originally had him and his wife in mind for the Par Carpenter and girlfriend scene. Casted my best friend, Joey, and had his girlfriend at the time. A quick improv scene. It's not really what I wanted, but it's one thing I had to get for another murder sequence. Thank you, Joey, for playing that part for me.
What's going on?
Well, it seems that Maggie's a suspect.
That's bullshit!
I know.
Heather Lynn. She had fun. We had a blast. She never learned one line. It took forever to get her shoots done. Not her fault. All of our faults. I'm not gonna blame her. She had the best killing at the most shocking killing at the end. She was a trooper. She had so much fun. We had a blast. She never learned her lines. Did I mention that?
I loved editing that scene. I had so much fun filming that. It took us all night, but we had a blast. And Heather was a real trooper. She wasn't a very good screamer, but that was okay. But she did allow us to pull her hair, and she said pull her hair, and RJ really pulled her hair. I don't think she got hurt once by doing it, but her hair was really pulled. And the knife, it's a very funny scene. We all laugh about the knife. The knife was really real. It was so hard to get that one shot, but we got that one shot, and there's actually a shot in the bloopers. You'll see Minerva, or hear Minerva go, don't touch the knife, because Heather kept trying to go like this while the knife was here, and we're like,
Oh my god. I send her my prayers.
Beth was originally supposed to play Shelley. We thought Beth was a little too short for Nick. We wanted to do a little bit more motion picture standards, so we switched the roles, which was great. Beth learned her lines perfectly, and she had a blast playing that small role. We promise, Beth, we'll get you a bigger part in the next movie. Thank you for playing that little part of the neighbor.
the setting that I was not aware of, but I didn't picture it. Because when I wrote the Miller house, I was like, okay, I pictured my mother's house. But when I saw Minerva's house, and I said, this is where we're going to film it, Peter's house and Minerva's house became its own character. And I freaking loved it. I think it fits so well. I'm glad we had the Miller's house, the Minerva and Peter's house. Thank you for letting us use your house for the main set.
And Ridley's office was a great location RJ's father had made in RJ's basement of the Lumiere house. So his father was his office space. He also designed the house in the kitchen at Laurie's house. It really worked. It had a proper lighting. It was, I set the lighting up really creepy, and RJ went with the scene very well. It was very natural for him because it was a house he grew up in. The opening scene, which I'm very proud of and how I pictured writing it years ago, was shots at Shaker Pines Plaza in Enfield, down the street where I grew up. This was probably like 10 o'clock at night, and it just was the perfect lighting, and the car driving by was all... Yeah, the car was not planned, but it really added to the element. The police station entrance was filmed at the back entrance to Untitled Community College. And the very clean bathroom in the police station was a very clean bathroom actually at Untitled Community College. And the cemetery was my favorite cemetery in Enfield, in Mark Carmel. The only negative thing about that cemetery thing is it's right by Interstate 91, which you hear all the traffic in the distance from all the cars and trucks and stuff. But here's a fun fact for you, that originally I didn't give Evans the last name Evans. It was supposed to be Sneeves, and we changed it back to Evans, and we were able to find a gravestone with Evans written on it. God bless the family. I don't know. We kept the names private. All we saw was just Evans. Andy Maywell was working at Costco as a cell phone salesman. I heard he was into music. I told him that I was making a movie production of Heathen, and he said he really wanted to get into stuff like that. I said, please, I'll take anything. And I sent him some samples of old horror music that I was trying to give him the feeling of what I was looking for. He gave me this incredible piano theme, and when I heard it, I sent it right to RJ and Nick, and they got excited about the project. Like, things were going smooth. The only problem is Andy only did that one piano theme, and I did things to slow it down, speed it up, give it an echo effect. I needed more. And another associate that worked at Costco with me, an amazing artist, a great photographer, BX Charles, what a wonderful gentleman. It was a lot of fun to work with. Very much into music and movies and art, and we come from different sides of the neighborhood. So he was sending me samples of his hip-hop riffs that had some kind of scary tunes in it. I said, Charles, thank you. It's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for hip-hop. What can you do? And he said, well, let me take the hip-hop tunes off of the horror tracks. And then he gave me that was the theme to Heathen. I said, that's it. That's my main theme.
It just dug right in there, what I was looking for. And it worked. Oh, God, and you see the opening credits, and you see the skeleton faces, and the names pop up, and it's a powerful, scary movie. Boomed right at you. And I said, thank you. That's what I was looking for. He calls it 1985. I call it the Heathen theme.
The 10th anniversary special edition, the final cut, I was able to take their music, spice them up, give them echoes, make them longer, make them shorter, and then I was able to go on YouTube and look up free music and mix it right into their music as well. Rocky, he just wants to go by Rocky. He was sending me some stuff as well. He also was the artist behind the main credits arts. We started filming the end of September after I finished the script, and we'd spend nights. We'd work all day until 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night, and then we would go right to film 8 o'clock till some nights 1 a.m. I didn't like staying out that late. I wanted everything wrapped up at 11:30 or 12 so we can go home and rest because we had an 8-hour day of work. We filmed all the way up until late November, and I was editing in and out as much as I could to keep up on production because I really wanted to release the movie at the end of November. We filmed on a digital Handycam, Sony digital Handycam. Miller's death scene was so important that it had to be done right. I had to have the right creepy lighting, direction, and this was the very first scene I got to work with Minerva and Peter. I was trying to concentrate on how it was going to be set up, because when I wrote it, I had a different image, but trying to present the image in Minerva's kitchen, and she wasn't comfortable with the part. Peter wasn't comfortable with the part, so I had to get them in the mood. Peter just lied there like a dead guy. He didn't move much. He had a sock in his mouth, tied him up, tied Minerva up, put socks around their mouths or gauze around their mouths, and I just said, Minerva, scream! 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 It really was kind of corny, but when I had the edited sound, the edited music, it just worked. I was so proud of them, and I think they were all surprised how well it did come out. And Minerva told me that her windows were open, and she felt so bad because she was screaming, and I think it was like 9, 10 o'clock at night, and that she's surprised that no neighbors did come for a rescue because she said we were screaming pretty loud in that kitchen. Funny story to tell about Peter. When RJ and Nick first met Peter, never met him before, Minerva was trying to get Peter to say yes to do the movie, because at that time he was still saying no. We're like, yes, and Minerva goes, yeah, he'll do it, he's gonna do it, don't worry, he's gonna do it. And he's going around, and Peter's going around his house slamming things shut and showing us this, showing us that, and the Yankee game is on the TV, and there were RJ, Nick, and Peter were Yankee fans, and they were like, oh yeah, and they're chit-chatting, and all of a sudden, and Peter's like, oh guys, I want to show you something. He goes down the hall in his bedroom and he pulls out this huge rifle, and it freaked Nick and RJ out. They said, we never met him before. There's this guy pulling out this rifle at us. The main credits art. I wanted skeletons, something within our body, and I was looking around Rocky's art. He posts his art all the time, and I really liked it. I messaged him. I said, Rocky, can you draw me something to do with Heathen, something evil, something deep and dark inside? And he could not come up with anything. But I was looking through all his art, and it was all his skeletons and his skull art. I asked, can I use the ones you see in the movie? Can I use those? Help yourself. And that's how I got those pictures. After the murder of Miller in the head, I originally wrote that, as I said that many times, and I wanted the screen to go blank for like 10 seconds. Silence. And of course you have the main credits, the boom. After it's all over, it's a month later. And I wanted the audience to go, whoa, Maggie's alive? What's happened? And that's how you build on the suspense and you build up. The scenes with the rainy days were filmed in front of my mother's house and all around Enfield. I wanted rain because rain symbolizes, melancholy, sadness, and it also known for washing away a bad day. But the thunderstorm was coming in, darkness is coming. The police station scenes felt like they were the longest takes ever. We had so much fun. Don't get me wrong. We had fun. I get overtired and I just giggle and laugh. Some other people get a little grumpy. So we would spend all night filming those police station scenes because Jess could not remember her lines. So she had the script in front of her. And the simple one-liners, she would get confused and it'd make RJ angry, it'd make me laugh. So we'd spend all night doing, if you see, they're a total of, 3-4 minute scenes, and it felt like we would take hours to do them. Bloopers. I mean, when I did the blooper reel, please help yourself to watch them, they're hysterical. When those add up, that was about 30 minutes. 30 minutes of crack-ups and mess-ups. Beth, have fun, beat up Nick. We really want you to beat him up. We want this to look real. Kick him, punch, and I think Nick got hurt. But I said, and he was okay with it. She was willing to do it. We did it. RJ being thrown down the stairs. We did so many takes the best we could to make it look like he was being thrown, look like he was falling. Quick shots, blurry shots, zoomed in shots. I went through a lot of, you can see in the bloopers, we did so many over and over. He got hurt. He hit his nipple on the light switch by the wall. Coming down. So those him, Heather getting her hair pulled, and Nick getting beaten up by Beth, I think was the only time people actually got hurt in the set.
Oh, excuse me, sir. Sorry.
Minerva's son. We gave him a really quick, small walk-in role. He was always around. He was very quiet. He loved being around us and watching us perform, and loved being assistant and sitting behind the camera and just watching and just laughing at us. And he was really shy, very quiet, but he enjoyed being with us. Minerva loved having him around. The flashback scene. We were going to film the flashback scene. Things were getting really tight in schedule. Jess Johnson was going to hire her daughter to play a younger Maggie. Her daughter was going to get a group of friends together. We just never got to it. Nor did we have a set that looked like what I could find. I found the picture of the Alimo Lubier Hall, which I called it, online, and I just changed the lighting of that picture so much. And I wanted Minerva to narrate that flashback scene. It's all I could do, but we needed the flashback scene, so I had to have Minerva speak it in a monologue, and she gave it such feeling and mysteriousness. With my music and my sound editing, it really just made the statement and the story behind. And Maggie, the unmasking scene, Minerva sees her brother's face. That was inspired by the ending of Prom Night. Oops, spoiler alert, sorry. I wanted Maggie to get that shocking moment to see that she could see the eyes of the killer, and see that it was her brother and take off the mask, and she was right. And I wanted them to have that moment to hug, fade away, have that scene fade out, and just be that wonderful little drama ending. However, yes, the unmasking, it confused the audience. They're like, there's no way Nick is the killer. No way. If you paid attention, the killer was Walt Jensen. He was the main killer. RJ killed Heather, or Shelley's character. He was mad because he thought Nick killed his mother. It's all misunderstanding. Heathens. The ending got RJ mad, the producer. He didn't understand it. I felt like I was changing it. He was mad that I was changing the ending, and that caused hostility on the set towards the end. And this is all towards the end of the production. I had to back away. We had to give each other space a couple of times. Happens in the business. And he was very happy in the end when he saw my edited movie. He said I was a very good editor. He did not imagine what it was going to look like, and he was happy with the outcome. Thank you, RJ. A very special cemetery scene at the end, Minerva's scene, was the last scene we filmed. It was just me and Minerva at the grave. Before the scene, maybe a couple days before we filmed it, I asked Minerva, can you write a poem, a goodbye poem, to Miller? However, I know how much you were going through with losing your father. If you want to write it to your father, please do. She loved the idea. She did it. She wrote that wonderful poem, To Wish the Past Was the Future. That was all her at that gravestone. She said to me, this is my father's memorial. I don't have a real father's memorial. This is my father's memorial. And I'm ready to do this scene. We did that scene. She did take a couple breaks in between to cry. I was like, is sure you want to do this? She's like, yes, I want to do this. We finished it. She put the scarf down on the stone. She walks off in the distance, the wind, and I said, just walk off. Go walk off. Be by yourself for a second. And I filmed her walking away, and it's great seeing the wind blow, and you see the all American flags blowing, and you see the crucifix Jesus in the distance, and it's really just a beautiful cemetery, nice and bright. Too bad the cars and the trucks from the highway were so loud, but it's such a beautiful cemetery. And we finished the scene. I hit cut. She came back. We hugged. She sobbed in my arms for like 2 minutes. It was beautiful. Thank you, Minerva. Thank you. It's a horror movie, so it's got to have like a suspenseful, scary ending. It made some people angry, and that's what you get sometimes, you know. Walt Jensen hadn't been really explained or caught at the end, and I said, we have to have this scene. Minerva was okay with it. Have that famous line that's in the movie poster. Do you want to see hell? Where did that come from? Do you want to see hell? I don't know. I think it was kind of like inspired by the movie Hellraiser. I don't know. It just sounded so scary. I wanted to really like sum up the theme of Heathen, and nothing said better than the word, do you want to see hell?
After the movie was completed, we had a screening, and we had some friends and family and co-workers get together at my mother's house on our big screen and watch Heathen together. Very rewarding. Everybody loved it. Everybody laughed. Everybody jumped. Everybody was inspired. Everybody wanted a sequel.
I showed it to as many people as I could, family, friends, for many years. It's a great film. It meant a lot to me. So it was kind of like a candle. It was burning, wax burned down, and people forgot about it. People loved it. Every year I asked somebody who was into music, Heathen needs a year anniversary special edition. Can I get a full music score? I'd always see these guys at Costco. Oh, I'd love to score something. Oh yeah, send me this, send me that. Never got anything. Never. And Heathen didn't suffer, but it went to sleep for a little bit. It went to sleep for that 10 years. And something just lit up when I found out in 2020 that, oh my God, I made Heathen 10 years ago. And when I started to fuel or remind those who helped me make it, they were like, that was 10 years ago? And they were like, I barely remember it. They're fancy terms, just like Ridley Scott's The Blade Runner, the final cut, the way he wanted it. Well, this is going to be the theatrical cut, so I wanted to call it my cut. A key thing that was very important about this 10th anniversary that I had to represent, that I had to put into it, in remembrance of my father, Ronald Mortensen. Years ago, when he saw the rough director's cut, he liked it very much. He was confused by the title. He was confused by my main credits with all the Renaissance art, the religious art, and all that. And he goes, I like it a lot. You need to explain or elaborate on the word heathen. Why? It's stuck with me for many years. And then I came up with the evangelist scene for the special edition final cut. I needed to find an evangelist. I wrote the very 2 paragraphs of that monologue about, heathens, watch out, trust in Jesus, whatever. I wrote that. And I sent it to an actress who was interested in playing in my movies. And I said, here's a quick, not even 30 seconds, I think you can get this done really quickly. I want you to do an evangelist. Crazy evangelist, Channel 5, Southern girl, crazy. She goes, sure, I'd love to do it. Cool. Give me time. Here I'm re-editing the special edition anyway. I'm begging this girl, do you want the scene? She goes, yes, I do, please. 30 seconds, I'm just a little nervous. Okay. So I contacted RJ, I texted him all disappointed. I said, I'm trying to get this movie Heathen done. It's coming out really great. I've done great things to it. I need the evangelist scene. Can I ask your sister or your brother-in-law, Caddy, if they'd like to be part of it? And he goes, sure, I'll ask them for you. They Facebooked me and said they'd love to be part of it. Oh, thank God, it was such an important scene. They got it done for me in a weekend. Sent me the bloopers, sent me the different takes. Then they had a Fred tag along. Thank you. I'm glad you stepped in. Caddy played it, the good cop, and then Stephanie, the bad cop. And it was, phrasing, they did phenomenal. Exactly what I wanted. And I told them how much that scene meant to me. It is remembrance of my father. He gave me that critique for my movie, and I want to make sure I put in the crazy evangelist, another emphasis on the word heathen. I was going to have an introduction. I think it's so cool to have an introduction, like Alfred Hitchcock. But the inspiration for my introductions coming out of the curtain was inspired by the beginning of Universal Studios' monster Frankenstein. Producer comes out, gives a warning, gives a brief statement about the movie you're about to watch. And I thought that was kind of cool. I'm going to do the same thing, put it in black and white, give it a sketchy, mono sound and record cracking. And people actually kind of liked that a lot, and it was really fun. I had some voiceover redos. I had Minerva redo her monologue scene for the flashback scene. I even tried to clean up as much as possible to understand the main killer, was Walt Jensen. And because people still confused about who the killer is. They still are now, but not as much. I think they just focus on my movies so much that they were expecting a better answer. But me, I like the hidden agenda. Are you paying attention to the clues given to you? To get Heathen on YouTube, is such an accomplishment. I got so many compliments. In the first week, it made over 200 views. But I had people compliment me so much, and the cast and crew, and it really boosted up my confidence. It got me back in the editing chair. It got me back into opening CJM Films up for the movie division. It stirred up so much excitement. It made Nick happy. He was so happy to see it. It made RJ really happy. I'm sure it touched Minerva in a very special way. I don't think Peter still has seen the movie. Beth watched it. It has brought back so many memories. A lot of people forgot so much. And it was great to hear people say, I forgot all about it. It's such a great movie. To hear all of that stuff again was just very rewarding. And I want to thank every single one of my cast and crew, the past, the present, the future, who made Heathen possible. I don't know what it would be today without the three amigos, Minerva, RJ, and Nick. Those guys, phenomenal. Minerva, you're my diamond. You are always going to be a diamond. You're going to shine. You're an artist. We're artists. And I want to thank everybody.
I could not write Heathen as a sequel. I would never. I would do a remake first. It's amazing. It's Heathen. It's a masterpiece, a classic. Very proud of what I've done to it.